Oh, ammo. No. No! I forgot about that. That's, pain. He gets these kills, looks up to the mini-map, I'm sure, and sees all of my homies are on the north side of the map. That means I gotta turn around. And not only does he just turn around, he gut checks, calls a gravity vortex gun. Bro! And that is enough! What is up, COD Mobile fans? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the playbook. Hope you got your coffee ready. Whoa, we've got ourselves a good one today. We're gonna dig in by going backwards in time to how you should play Summit Hardpoint. We're gonna take a look at the CDFI Grand Finals map numbers 7, certified banger map, Wolves Elevate. And the thing about it was your guys' choice that has me doing this video right now. We put this poll up on Twitter and you guys responded in great force. But I'll be doing this interaction a lot more regularly as we especially jump into the next season of this kind of Snapdragon Pro series that we have coming in January and February. But let's jump into it. We're going into Summit Hardpoint, and I think that this map, as we do our breakdown, will actually be maybe a little bit easier than doing the Hacienda, because the map is a little bit more on the simple side when it comes to like understanding where you should be, when you should rotate, what are the big moments. The hills are, I think, a little bit more straightforward. So we'll talk about where the proper setups are and things of that nature as we go, and we'll just dig right into it. This was a great map, so I'm pumped to kind of see it back again. It's been a while since I've watched it, so it should be really, really fun, I think, just to kind of see at a more analytical sense why the game went the way it did. Very regularly, I think the thing that we notice about this, and one of the reasons that I was talking about this map a lot, kind of with Wolves being at champs, was not only was it their most played, but watching players like Peg and Zai dominate with shotgun SMG combo for the two of them. I was like, I don't know if any team at Worlds could actually contest them on this map. So the interesting thing about it is I think a lot of teams actually did their homework. Summit was actually only played once by Wolves, and I think a lot of the time it was vetoed out. They played Kings on it in their opener. Kings messed up by letting it through, and they paid very greatly for it. So through this first hard point, it really doesn't, I don't really like to say one way or the other that like, oh, like you have to be in certain positions to win this hill. This is largely, I think, mostly a hard point that is determined by how much finesse and individual playability you're going to get out of your SMGs. I will say that I think just trying to control the top hallways here on the second floor gives you a better chance to do that. Mostly looking at if your ARs can control those top windows, then your SMGs get a little bit of extra support, so their life becomes a little bit easier. But there's nothing to say that hitting it from this front door or coming in through the backside at P2 down low really is ineffective. I still feel like it's fine, but if you've got a good heads up AR setup, where I think the best look is actually kind of looking at it where you've got this window here, this window up top, and then if you got the other one kind of over here as the stair, just picture the staircase behind my camera right now. If you could get an AR that kind of finesse between those three windows, make sure that they stay safe from any pushes that come down this hallway, maybe with another AR that's sitting with them, maybe your two ARs are sitting up top. I feel it's really easy to get a read on where the hits are coming from, and if you can properly communicate that to your SMGs on the ground floor, they should be able to reap. Wolves looking really solid to this point, 23-17, 50-50. Now, as we get into the second hard point, again, I don't really particularly say like one side of the hard point is better than the other. In terms of fighting for the hill itself, let's draw our 50-yard line, because depending on how far on one side or the other of this 50-yard line, that usually determines what side of the map you spawn on. So our current status is this, where we've got this kind of setup. I will say though, obviously as we rotate over to where our third hard point will be inside of the ski lift building, this lodge building, that is where you want to try to find yourself moving across the map, and you want to be essentially where Wolves are right now. You want to be on this side of the 50-yard line, force the spawns on the break coming up to be a little bit deeper, takes a little bit longer. Maybe you got to take a longer out this way. Maybe you got to do something you don't really see much information, or you're pushing through the outside. It just doesn't feel particularly great because you've got 1, 2, 3 choke points. We like to call this a 3-lane map, but it really feels like a 3 choke point map, especially if you put yourself in good positions to lock down spawn. So that's really the only status I'm looking for. I also believe that if you are going to run a shotgun, shotgun, the KRM in this instance, or an R9, being inside of this area where you currently have PJ is a great spot to be, because you can essentially use your teammates outside the hard point to determine if there's a gunfight happening on the low ground over towards P2, kind of in this space in here. Or what you could do is try to make the pinch safe by holding onto these inner building areas and making sure you're always in a spot to get good close contact for anyone trying to hit through the middle and trying to pinch the hard point. Not a perfect pinch, but I like the idea of using a shotgun in that area. PJ, huge, pushing through. And actually, this may be a 2-shotgun setup. I didn't really get a look. Yeah, sure is. Yopi's also running a KRM. So Elevate are going to have this instance of, instead of running hard SMGs, they're going to try to burst out Wolves with these shotguns. I guess I didn't recognize that in the moment, but it is I remember watching this map and I was like, ooh, Elevate's got a really weird setup that they're not running like a Fennec, because obviously we see players like Xing and Zai, they pop off this map. So it's very curious to see that kind of happen. And there's also a little bit of finesse here. Now that I'm kind of looking at it, this is kind of cool too. If you look over towards the side of Wolves, Peg was running a shotgun. He's now got a third Fennec as we rotate away from these middle hard points in towards 1 and 2, where you often see the shotguns kind of obviously get into close quarters. And now he's on an SMG where he can play at a bit more medium range depending on where he finds himself on this hold idea that they're putting together. And there may be the same thing happening here as well, because Yopi is also swapped off the shotgun by the look of it. PJ's still running it for now, but interesting idea. Going back, and this is kind of maybe why PJ feels like he can make a little bit of a push through happen, because if there is no follow-up SMG, then if he can get a couple of kills, you may as well run through it. So you can kind of see, picks up the pinch, nothing there. Now he's got a little bit of a knowledge of what's happening in the front, runs right forward for not even the final contest. This is just contest. And yeah, Yopi does have a second shotgun. He picks this Fennec up. So really curious in terms of the weapon composition here, but you can kind of see the shortcomings, right? Look at it this way. All right, this is a small footnote. We'll move on, I promise. But PJ's going to go nuts. He's going to get a couple of kills. Right behind him is Yopi doing the same thing. So what this is telling me, and what you should be looking out for, is when you get a kill feed that is essentially, this was a 3-for-1. You've got 3 players down off respawn. Try to push, and let's see if we can flip that spawn status now, a little bit on the earlier side of things. But watch what happens, because you've got PJ forward and you've got Yopi here on screen. He will have the shotgun. Watch how fast number 2, 3, and 4 make their way back in, finding trades and then re-clearing the hard point, because they have a little bit more medium range. Just watch the minimap a little bit, but watch the kill feed in particular here. There's the first trade. And now here's the hit up top. Good trade, little slide shell. Yopi down low could do nothing, and look at the kill feed. 1, 2, 3 Fennecs in the feed, and most of this is actually on where the ARs were positioned. So that's another benefit of kind of running SMGs versus shotguns. I'm not going to say one is right, one is wrong, but they do provide different pros and cons. And now with 20 seconds on the clock, not really a need for Wolves to do anything too crazy off of this bottom spawn to continually hit this. You would like to finesse some more time, sure, but at the 20-second mark, you want to establish your front line and your next spawn. So this is all about making sure that Elevate don't get through. Make sure this stays blocked. Make sure this player at mid is here to help watch this cross. Make sure there's no one hitting an early route. So this is already Wolves setting up that first line of defense to hold on to what spawns are going to be. And I'll be honest with you, I have no freaking clue why Neon spawns back here. There's no reason for it. No one makes a route to change that. I don't know. Where does number 5 spawn up at? Huh? I don't know, dude. So now Wolves are under threat of the perfect setup. I like to look at Hardpoint in 3 breakdowns of 20 seconds. Let's just break down these 20s really quickly here into the sections that I like to look at it. I like to look at this as the attack 20, the contest 20, and then the rotate 20. In the attack 20, what we're often fighting for is not necessarily the hard point. We're trying to attack the spawns. And often the question that I ask myself while casting is, who holds spawn? And if there is a definitive answer, great. But that's not always the case. Like, let's just use this as an example real quick. If Elevate were to find a kill here, and you have one player in the back with a threat coming forward, that does not necessarily mean that any particular team has spawns. At the moment, though, Wolves are the team that is in the best rotational spot to earn them. So there is an element in this first attack 20 that I like to call it, that we're looking to see who has the spawns. And then after that question has been generally answered, we then take the tally into who has the actual hard point. Because there is an element of the team from the front has pushed so far forward from the front that they are contesting the hard point without contesting the spawn. But often what we see in the first 20 are that teams are trying to attack the spawn. Elevate want the spawns, Wolves have the spawn. So those are the things that we look for. In the contest 20, we are looking for what's happening on the OBJ. After the first 20 seconds, the status of spawns can flip, but unless something opens up the chance to flip spawns for the team breaking, really what we're looking for is who can actually control the hard point. This is when we tally things like, will operators get used? Things of that nature. We're trying just to give a status of who is winning on the hard point. And then in the scrap or rotational 20, I often, when I'm casting, I call it the scrap 20 seconds. We're looking to see what's going to happen on exit. And in particular, that may also mean, is there anybody finessing the old time? So for the team that's already controlling the objective, the question is, how are they going to exit? The other part of that example would be the team that is not in the hard point. How are they rotating? Are they the ones setting up like Wolves just did? And then the very final part about that is, will there be defenders who are on the hard point staying late to finesse? Or will there maybe be a couple of players who could maybe delay a little bit that are on the breaking team that could possibly finesse it? Small little breakdown, but I think it's going to be super important to tally when teams rotate, in particular on this map. So let's look at our first 20 seconds. We've got 5 seconds left on the old time. So that means that we are tallying at the moment kind of what's going to happen in this first 20. And like we said, very quickly, we have Wolves already in control of where the spawns will be, but that does not mean that they have control of them yet, depending on what happens with that rotation. So let's see how things kind of go here. Wolves, this is all about them defaulting to playing for rotation. They get one player to spawn up. Hardpoint spawns now move, and you have PJ trying to finesse from the front, and he does get taken down. Great gravity vortex gun here. Beautifully done. At the same rate, you also had, again, we know that there's a threat. Wolves have already read there's a threat from Elevate. So you pop an early grav, you take down the front door, you pop the claw out over towards Silo. It rips apart that outer pathway. Beautifully done by Wolves. They now have spawns. They now have the hard point, and they're trying to make life extra difficult by throwing in a war machine. We love this. Sparrow as well. This is, everything is being thrown. Wow. Everything is being thrown for the side of Wolves. And they're trying to, you can kind of see it. They're trying to spam the choke points into this hard point. But what they miss is after the claw fades away, you've got a route here, and then you have one player who actually does get a neutralization towards the outside of snow. So because there's so much success around the back already, again, tally where that 50-yard line is. These players on the outside can influence spawns. You force Wolves to spawn out. This is great news for Elevate. It's a great start for Wolves, but they neutralize a lot of the operators, and they've already moved spawns around. Big win by Peg. Spawns get flipped back. Purifier out. Oh, it's so good. That's absolutely beautiful. Now, we're at the contest 20. It's all about, can you get into the hard point? Can you contest that hard point? So yes, Wolves re-lock down spawns. Elevate still at the front door knocking. Look at the tally. 1, 2, 3, 4 operators at the ready. If I were a betting man, I would bet we see most of those in the next 10 seconds. Good for Kalo. Claw. Oh, just got to hold the trigger down. Very good for Luffy. I can't believe Elevate haven't spent more. I guess it's a good thing I'm not a betting man. I mean, final 5 seconds, you've got a really good chance to break open more of that time. And to be fair, when you tally the score, hey, it's actually not bad. I mean, Elevate do a pretty solid job there. I'm just surprised they didn't try to really hammer home that break. So now you expect kind of the opposite situation. We're at the hard point lock. That means we're in rotation, 8 seconds, and we have Elevate setting up their forward line of defense. They also have operators to help them establish. So shoes on the opposite foot. I don't need to re-break this down for you. If you really need to go back and rehear it, rewind the video, go back and rehear it. This is passive though. I will say this much. This is pretty passive. These are gravity vortex guns that are just essentially just going to replace each other. One drops, you throw another one in. One drops, you throw another one in. Good. PJ's also got Sparrow on the outside. I imagine you're going to get somebody popping something on the interior. Yeah, it's the Sparrow. PJ's got the Sparrow inside. Now Susano, Purifier out. Okay, and the only thing I'll say is I feel like this hardpoint is harder to break compared to 3, only because the routes we saw Elevate take over towards 3 on the outside that did move spawns around, not as easy to do here for Wolves, because one of those outside routes, you have to go through the hardpoint. And then the other, that means that you're taking a super scenic route just to try to flip spawns. So what you should be looking for as we start to jump into the next season of the Snapdragon Pro Series on teams breaking, are they trying to invest their resources into breaking the hardpoint where you play towards this outer snow path while also playing through mid? Or will there be more numbers playing towards the outer alleyway and then also supplying some support through tractor to try to break the spawns? You really can't do both at the same time. You'll often see a team who breaks finding a way to also move spawns by simply put dominating in the kill feed. If they move this direction and find good success on breaks, you'll often see players move down this little catwalk, and that will also move the spawns around. Every step they take is more influence towards moving spawns. The other side of that would be to make a hard, heavy hit through the back, and that is a way to kind of quickly move spawns and then possibly re-win the hard point. So it's an order of operations thing. And it looks like right now, Wolves are kind of splitting their focus. I mean, single individual pushes down snow, shotgun's gonna feast, but Zai's kills, telling you Zai was so massive. Look at Zai, number 3. He's the one that is playing around the outside here, and he goes ham bone right here. Just watch him on the mini. You don't see him on the actual screen. Just watch him in the mini map. That kill flips the spawns over, and then he gets another towards the hard point. There's Elevate spawning out. Zai, absolutely massive, but Elevate, they held on to operators, and that decision to hold instead of spending them towards the break gave them a more realistic chance to hold from the front, but the SMGs for Wolves were too freaking nasty, man. If we were to evaluate, Wolves had control of P3 first, Elevate had control of P4 first. It felt like Elevate kind of 50-50'd P3, but Wolves still have 12 seconds of scrap time here, and they will essentially do the same thing if they 50-50'd P4. So again, tug-of-war battles on hard points that we often assume to see 40+ seconds tells you how good of a game this was. Just SMG gap, flat out. 18, 16, 17 kills for Wolves SMGs. And again, we get back to this hard point. It's just simply about finesse. I do not like war machines and sparrows on this hard point. Here's my reasoning. You are not going to get more than 30 seconds on P1 very often. And if you do, it's because there's a skill gap. Flat out. It's just one team is flat out better than the other. So if you're in a grand final of CDFI, an international event, on one of Wolves' best maps that they've played all tournament long, I don't like the idea of throwing out a war machine that can break down choke points in P3 and P4 better. Now, Luffy's going to get this back again. Not particularly worried about that, but he only gets a kill, and he takes himself out of the picture. So he essentially gets nothing, because now we've got a 4v4. I don't love sparrows here. I don't love war machines here. I don't love claws here. I think Purifier in the right hands could do some work. I think if you have a good setup, Gravity Vortex gun can make life difficult. But again, do we really assume that with those operators, they're going to be more deadly than your SMG or a shotgun when you're going from kill to kill, area to area? I don't personally think so. Matter of opinion? Yeah, probably. Someone will prove me wrong tomorrow, probably, but really good scrap fight. Again, playing off exits. You can kind of see the idea here from Elevate. They kind of are spawning, we'll say largely in this position. Off the exit through 1, they are hitting a wrap around the back. So this is an early play to flip spawn status around towards who spawns left, who spawns right. Fred also called. So let's go backwards and just evaluate how Elevate tried to play this hard point. They are right off the get-go. Hard point is just open. They made this wrap happen right up here. You have to remember that there are 2 spawns. Because the hard point is often just contested like crazy, this spawn from Wolves is often blocked, and they were spawning down here. Elevate have hard focused on playing off the north side or the south side. They have not done a particularly great job of blocking both of those spawns, which is why they keep spawning either up here or down here. So on this move, you get through this, but no one holds this position, and instead they try to wrap up here. So Elevate are all on the north side of the map, and it leaves the south side of the map open. And because there's so much good focus for Wolves at being contested up top, they will still spawn down here. Eventually that does get blocked. I think as number 4 starts to rotate over, and this spawn gets blocked, but the route up here helps Wolves hold the north side of the map. So even though Elevate are technically in a good spot to contest this, what they're not doing is controlling the north and the south. So we don't actually get a full setup to where they're able to block what is essentially 3 points. You have to be able to block 3 points if you want to control spawns. Not only that, they're really not even contesting 2 points. They're not able to contest either of the 2 spawns. So they're never fully up top. They're never fully here. They're only here or only here. Does that make sense? Watch how this happens. So they block the north spawn, but the south spawn's wide open. So Wolves spawn south. Now you've got to move from Elevate. Yeah, number 4 does cut across. And there's a moment of a spawn out here for Wolves, but look at the rewrap. They get the kill up top, and wouldn't you know it, now Wolves spawn up top. So it's like this juggle that happens, and eventually, even though Yopi pops off right here, this is his 3 spree with the claw, guess what? Elevate have done well up here, but they got nobody down here. So it's just like the focus for Elevate has been good in terms of playing kind of to the left side of the map, but it's not controlled enough. And maybe that's because they're running these 2 shotguns on this hardpoint, not SMGs, that their motion towards the south part of the map has never really been in control. So Wolves continue to get away with holding on to the favored side as we rotate over to 3. That all said, Elevate has done a great job at making sure that they can win time on the hardpoint. Finally, we get a cleanup, and because of the rotation that's happening with 17 seconds on the clock, finally, we get a clean kill feed that leads to motion on both sides of the map. I know this is going to sound like I'm a broken record or I'm countering myself, but do you kind of see what I mean? Where they're only playing to the left side of the map from the north, or they're only playing to the left side of the map by playing from the south. It's not until this rotational moment that we actually get both sides, north and south, at the same time moving west. And that finally moves the spawns across. That's what I want to pin out. All this is going to sound super negative, but I'm only looking at this from a rotational point of view. Elevate have done a great job on the hard point, and now they're doing a great job on rotation. So the flip comes through. Now you've got to set up for Elevate. Can they anchor and hold it? And again, we have to keep in mind that this is not just get back here. Can Wolves do it by influence the spawns on the outside? There's also the option, if you get a read that Elevate are heavy stacked on the outside, that you could try to hit this from the front and then just barrel through a little bit. There is that option to play for the hard point and not the spawns. And a couple of kills from the front, it does give them a chance to flood this. Whoa! Huge save. Wow, Bold Sparrow. Bold Sparrow! Neon's going to step in, take his place. The spawns still get up one more time here for Elevate, which does feel like a win in the immediate moment, but Neon reads this. He is in a great spot to watch this cross. He's also going to get a little bit of assistance from number 5 around the back, and you have nothing but just front door watchers here inside the hard point. Neon should be in a good spot to follow up here. Elevate's going to get caught. Yeah, really badly off spawn. Really badly off spawn. That's not good news. Really good motion here from Wolves. Now you can take your attention back to the front, and you kind of, again, going back to when we were talking about our attack 20, our opening 20 seconds, it's a fight for spawns, not hard point. Usually the case, especially if you can find a convincing win. In this moment, though, Wolves are so good around the sides that they also open up space on the hard point at the same time. So it's a simultaneous play. Now you've got operators out again. This is a bold purifier. I'm telling you, the SMGs for Wolves, unbelievably strong this game. And I'll be honest with you, I think that there's a moment in this where you go back to the Purifier first, the Claw second, and then that last play right there from Zai, who was the Claw user. Wolves are not with concentration saying, we've won the hard point, let's exit together. It's more of like an individual gets a kill, and he's trying to create what I like to call a cushion or a buffer, where you bump the hard point. Like if the bounds of the hard point are here, but you can make them feel like like they're here, that creates so much cushion for you to get extra time at the end. So really good bounce back moment here from Wolves. Those extra little pokes and prods. I think they were a little too individual. I would have loved to have seen an extra person pushing with it, but it still creates the same idea of if you can go 1-for-1, Elevate never get reestablished to reattack this hard point. So now shoes on the opposite foot. What are we asking ourselves? What route are we looking for here from Wolves? Are they investing more on the outside or more from the inside? Last time we were here, it was this guy right here that made this same play up this staircase to win the spawns and then eventually come back and actually help the hard point. If he does it again, it would be unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Forces the Purifier. Oh, not value. Not value there. Telling you, this guy's a problem. This guy is a problem. Oh my God. SMGs were too hot today on this day. The SMGs were too hot. And again, here's that little bump of the hard point. A little play out towards Snow, a little play in towards the hallway. Everyone else is focused on maybe a hit coming this direction. So it makes your hard point feel like it's here rather than just being here. Really good heads up play. The way we call this in the traditional multiplayer is that just good numbers counting. When you say 3 down, 4 down, that should be a subconscious process of we have to try to bump the hard point. I was talking too much to understand what just happened here. Wait, what happens with spawns? Susano gets 2. Does PJ open things up and they're on the back? Oh, it's just clean kills. Yeah, we talked about this. When you're in this contest 20, we're not playing for the spawns first. Necessarily. This is about if you get spawns at this moment and the hard point, it's usually a byproduct of you dominating the kill feed. Remember, I said that exactly, I think. You'll often see a team who breaks finding a way to also move spawns by simply put dominating in the kill feed. And it's all about hitting through the hard point, getting your kills, and then pushing through to flip the spawn at the same time. So they get a little bit of that, largely thanks to Susano early. Peg gets a little turned around. There's the double. PJ from behind. Chloe inside, and then it's just clean kill feed. That's how you flip spawns in the hard point at the same time. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful hold from Elevate. Oh, ammo! No! No! I forgot about that! That's, oh, pain. Wow, really good read from the claw. And I don't often like the claw, and I told you guys I may get proved wrong, but watch how this all happens. PJ is going to get traded, and then the focus is all for Zai is watching this front door. Wrong color. But he's watching this front door, and I think his teammates actually flip back over towards tools. So all he has to worry about is this front door. Really good. That little route right here from number 1 in King moving through allows the claw just to be spammed through the front door. Perfect usage. This is a key 20 seconds. Elevate is split spawn. They're spawning both from the left and the right at the same time, east to west. No! No! All right, we've got a lot of tools available. We need to tally them. Pred missile was just called in. Another is getting called in right now for Xing. Yopi's got a pred missile. We've got another pred missile on Zai. We've got another pred missile on Peg. We've got all of these tools, including operators for Wolves. They have a massive advantage there. Barrows get traded. Pred missiles really don't find much value, but it opens up space. Watch where these pred missiles are landing at. They're all being spent on the hard point or on the right side of the map. So it's opening up the space for Wolves to try to control this side of the map. I love it. Really good. Look at the read. Brothers, that is a Giga Chad brain read from Xing. Are you kidding? He gets these kills, looks up to the minimap, I'm sure, and sees all of my homies are on the north side of the map. That means I gotta turn around. And not only does he just turn around, he gut checks, calls a gravity vortex gun. Bro! And that is enough. If he drops there and Elevate stays alive, if Susano stays alive, they've got 3 members hitting, but now this avenue's closed. Look at the pause. It gets 2 players up, and that changes everything. If they get there a little bit faster and Xing dies off of his respawn, which is up here, Elevate get these spawns. They'll have numbers, but instead Wolves, wow. That is like the biggest butterfly effect thing that could have possibly happened. If Shing doesn't read his teammates are on the north side of the map and Gut Check calls a gravity vortex gun, Elevate have a 5-on-3 and they win the hard point and probably the spawns. And now Wolves have to make a choice here. And Wolves get a little bit caught, I won't lie. I think they're still reading at this moment right here. 23 seconds left on the clock, 2:37. I think they're trying to win the game here. Because if you remember back to the other 2 rotations to P3, Wolves kind of gave up the last 10 seconds and tried to set themselves up for this defensive line, remember? Now, everyone off spawn is pushing in and trying to help this hard point. And then to spawn out, and you can see number 1 is trying to wrap back, but number 5 isn't. Number 5 is pushing in. Peg is running into this. He drops. And now number 2, Neon also gets kind of caught. So you can see that decision making right there from Wolves is they want to try to win the game on this hard point, and it kind of gets them a little bit caught on rotation here. Elevate will flip. Can they find King in the back? Yes, they do. Wait, do they not see Shing? No. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This was like a month ago. I don't remember what happens and why the spawns flip. He does get taken down. Okay. All right, what do you have available here? Here comes the push on the outside. This is the first time we've really had to see Wolves try to break this hard point by moving spawns around. So the break attempt on the back doesn't work. Now it's all about can he hit from the front.
It's over to get the flush.
It's over. 5
Spawns are still in. Let's just enjoy it.
They need to make the play. Can anyone contest the hill? Here comes the contest. Exit for the back. Gets him out as well. 2 more points for Wolves. Sealed the deal, and they win in game 7.
Homie just died. Wow. Unreal stuff, man. Unreal stuff. What a cool game. We talked about a lot, and you know, maybe I'll do a different video kind of explaining with maybe a couple of examples that 20-20-20 split that I was kind of talking about, the attack 20, the contest 20, and then the scrap 20. I think that that's a super cool way to look at Hardpoint. I've been watching Hardpoint for 8 years, and that is the only way as a commentator that I feel is like the best way to like create a spotlight of like, in this first 20 seconds, we need to look at this. In this middle 20 seconds, we need to be looking at that. And then the exit 20, we need to be looking at this other thing. So maybe that'll help you guys kind of not only in your own approach to how you guys play, but also as you start to tune into the Snapdragon Pro Series, which is starting up soon, that you will kind of have a better way of kind of evaluating who's playing Hardpoint better. So really great map, really great decisions. It did feel like there were a couple of really special plays for Wolves that helped them set some patterns and flip the script a touch when Elevate was doing so well on the Hardpoint itself. It did feel like Wolves were doing a better job at making life difficult. And when you talk about a game that was a 9-point gap, I'm sure you could look at 18 different spots of where those extra 9 seconds could have came from if Zai doesn't pop off or Peg doesn't pop off or Neon doesn't spawn trap. A lot of what woulda, coulda, shouldas in the final moments. Thank you guys for the support. Again, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter as well as subscribe right here onto YouTube so you guys can get involved in determining what video you guys want next. And we'll see about watch party stuff. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see some watch parties where we'll be doing more live reaction and live breakdown moments of the key things that kind of happen. So that could be a really fun thing to do. We probably would do that for North America, not for Europe, because the CDL is going on. Being a CDL commentator, I will be working most of this. So let me know what you guys think. Until next point, make sure you keep holding it down. Bye-bye.